Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So for this particular installment of the Girl Boss Tips series, I have a very special guest. I would like to introduce you to Brian Nickerson, who is the CEO and co-founder of Magiclinks. Today's video is going to be talking all about being an entrepreneur, and you are one, and I've been so interested in learning about your story and your path in creating this amazing company. So for all of you who are interested in business development, this is the video for you. And today we're also going to be giving you some tips on how to create your own brand that you can authentically start to grow and monetize online as well, which is what Magiclinks does, right, Brian?
Yeah.
So let's get started. Tell us how Magiclinks came to be.
All right. Well, Elle, it's a pleasure to be here with you. I'm honored.
He drove all the way here to talk to you guys today.
Flew and drove. Yeah, a couple of steps. It's worth it though.
It is.
And so, so I started Magiclinks about 2 years ago. And what we do is empower creators with tools for authentic social commerce. So we make it really easy to share products you love and then earn income as your fans shop. And so really, kind of the genesis was we worked with a lot of influencers and we were trying to find like the right business model and really like what's the burning problem that people have and what do people like really need. Because I think one of the things, as you're starting a company or any business is how do you find that sweet spot where people like really want it? Because when you're first starting out, it has to be that. If it's sort of like, okay, then you don't really have much, So finding that. And what we found, particularly in working with video creators, is fans were asking questions all the time of like, hey, what's that really cool thing behind you?
Yeah.
Right? Or what are you wearing?
What's on your list is the one I get all the time.
Yeah, and
sure.
you get that on comment. We see it and heard it and commonly found that. And so we said, gosh, what if we could build something that would like help your fans, help you answer a question for your fans, build something as an influencer even better so the fan experience is even better and can be more connected to you, and then also have a revenue model associated with that. So a way to actually earn, which I think is important, right? When you're in business, you do need to earn. You need to earn for the value you're putting out there. So sort of first, is there a burning problem? 2, can you solve that problem and do it really effectively? And then 3, can you make a business out of it?
Yeah.
And so that was really the genesis of Magiclinks, and that's what we do.
Yeah. So you guys know, I think what's so interesting to me about what Brian and Magiclinks, as a result of all your hard work, does is the ability to earn a seat at the table of YouTube big bucks, because it really is, it's grown so much and there's so much opportunity to succeed on YouTube and to use social media as a forum for creating success for yourself and your brand. But what's really important to me is to maintain my independence and my voice in video creation. As you guys know, I've talked to you before about that. And so using affiliate links is just a really honest way of sharing things that you actually love and already use with your audience, and just being able to keep that organized and having a partner that you can create links with that will connect you with those brands. So what's the biggest challenge in creating what is essentially a whole new world of being able to do that and being able to connect with brands in that way?
Yeah, so I think there's kind of like 3 challenges that we face, right? So first, and our true north is doing right by influencers. So how do we find influencers? How do we articulate our value proposition in the like sea of opportunities, right, that influencers get, right?
And can I just say, you're so good at that as well. I feel like a lot of the time, and I found this both professionally as a lawyer and in my online life as well, networking and making connections can be so impersonal.
Right.
But you're so good at actually, making friends with creators and just being an amazing sounding board. So we've had so many great telephone conferences, just bouncing ideas off each other and talking about different brands that are really interesting that might be joining the fold. And it's just so interesting for me to learn about all of that. And I think what I've seen from you is just the ability to really bring that personal touch to what is otherwise a very impersonal online world of just making money, I think, for a lot of people. So.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's I mean, the stories and the journey find so
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
And it's fun to be a part of it and to like play a meaningful part,
Yeah.
or in some way, or try to play a meaningful part, is what I get a lot of energy out of.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, really amazing to see your channel grow, right?
Yeah.
And see all of the ways that like you're innovating and bringing, you know, Nouvelle Pearl, like launching your own line of pearls on top of your full-time job, on top of which is like a big job, right?
Yeah.
An attorney is not a small thing. And like as a video creator, and your Instagram channel is growing, and all these things that you're doing, right? And on top of that, you're like, oh, let me design some amazing new jewelry line,
Yeah.
and launch it, and source it, and sell it, and have a like whole business around it. So it's fun to be a part of that journey.
You make me sound like a real life tornado, but I have to say I can do the same for him because you are just as busy, if not busier than I am.
Well, I wonder when you sleep. I don't think you sleep.
So Brian is working just as hard as I am every day, and I do sleep. Trust me, sleep. Beauty sleep is everything. But you've traveled all over the world to meet with brands and talk to them about the importance of creating authentic relationships with YouTube creators and video creators and bloggers as well.
Yeah.
And I just want to know some insights from that journey.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting behind the scenes to me because I just get to experience the front side of the store and the shopping experience, and so it's really interesting to me that you get to see this whole other world.
No, and that's really kind of our second challenge, right? Is reaching out to brands, forming partnerships, and working with the e-commerce side of most brands. So we've learned a lot in that journey, and Magiclinks actually plays a role, an educational role in that a lot of times with brands. And so to just dive into that a little bit, right? You might have, so broadly in retail, you sort of have Amazon and everyone else. And there's a lot of great things about Amazon, but it's also a bit of an impersonal shopping experience as well in many ways. And I think some of the most interesting ways that influencers can connect with fans is helping to identify, right, the things that, the products that mean something to you in your life, and that, you know, make that perfect like summer date outfit, right? Or make you feel a certain way when you're like having a big work meeting or and need to be on, right? Or make you like feel really powerful and engaged in an interview as you're looking for a first job, right? So there's so many of those things that might not come from Amazon. They might come from a new startup brand. And many brands right now, as and I can get like a little wonky on this, right? But like as the online ecosystem has changed so fast over the last few years, where you kind of think, you know, YouTube is really only like 10 years or a little bit more old. Instagram is even newer than that. Snapchat is even newer than that. So the ways that people are connecting to products is mostly through people who they trust. And social media makes it so that you can develop that trust with a set of fans really quickly. And brands are still trying to figure out, like brands are scared, basically. They're scared of Amazon on one hand, and they're scared of how do they connect and how do they do a good job of getting their product and letting people know about their product in this world where the brand really doesn't have a lot of control. And so, you know, I think one of the things that brands that do a really good job of like making great product, making sure it comes from an authentic story, and then having a great experience for consumers too. Because we're so kind of tip of the spear in terms of working with talent and working with people who are at the forefront of how marketing is changing, many brands don't realize that, and we're like able to have the conversation to say, look, your mobile experience, it takes 8 seconds for the page to load. That's a poor experience for people, and they're not going to buy. And as a brand, you're missing out on that, and because you're missing out on that, influencers are missing out as well. We were at a meeting called Shop Talk, which is like sort of all about the future of retail and e-commerce. And one of the leading brands, they said they had to embrace mobile differently. And so what their CEO said is, no mobile, no meeting. And so what that means,
catchy,
right? And so that would mean when they would work on design of what the website should look like, that had to be mobile first, and people in the room had to be looking at it on their mobile devices. And if they weren't starting there and then going to desktop, if they weren't starting mobile, there was no meeting. Like they would not make time to meet because it's that important. And I think a lot of brands aren't yet thinking that way, but you see some of the new up-and-coming brands that are becoming really, really successful. Your like Too Faced Cosmetics of the world, right? That have embraced that from the get-go. And because they've embraced that, that's part of why they're doing so well. And other like older legacy brands or brands that have been around for 20 years sometimes struggle because you have like this change has accelerated so fast.
Well, and their mindset is probably still brick and mortar as
Completely.
well. That's something
Yeah.
that I've encountered developing
Yeah.
Nouvelle Pearl while connecting with just movers and shakers and people that have a lot of wisdom for sure. A lot of the questions that I get always go back to, oh, when are you finally going to make it into a store?
Right.
When are you going to open a store? When are you finally going to have that step of success for your line?
Yeah.
And my answer is always the same. It's no thank you, because I can keep prices so much lower and have such a better connection with people through keeping my business online that I really have no immediate plans to sort of force it into boutiques, because I think online is such a powerful mechanism.
Yeah, such a smart entrepreneur, because I think, I mean, one of the things that is challenging, right, as with a company is like you start getting feedback.
Yeah.
And as soon as you have a little bit of traction, you start getting feedback from all these different sources and people that maybe have like 40 years more experience than you do in that space or relative to that space. So it's coming from a really good place, but like you have to be true to you, and you have to be true to what you know, and like where you want to take the business. And so some of it is like listening to all of that feedback, but also knowing like we let it in and think about it, but maybe not take action on certain things that don't make sense.
Yeah. Any other challenges you want to share with us?
Yeah, so I think the third piece, so we have kind of, we operate a two-sided marketplace, so for connecting influencers and brands, and then for us, I think about it as product, which is what does our website and tools and services for influencers, what does that look like? How does that play? How easy is it?
Yeah.
How do we form partnerships that really make influencers' lives easier? And so the two things we're trying to do is like super fast and easy, and then have brand partnerships that are really helpful for your business.
Yeah.
One of my co-founders is Chris Levy, who does all the coding, and he's an amazing engineer and technologist. And so,
did you
like,
go to
we come up with
university with
ideas.
him? How did you guys?
We didn't. Yeah, we worked together at a company called Internet Brands.
Okay.
And so I ran the shopping division there. And he ran my technical team, so he had like 20 developers. I heard of the Node Khosla, who is both an entrepreneur and a venture capitalist. He has either created or funded 5 companies that are worth more than $1 billion. And so when you've done that, you're not lucky, you're good. And you're probably good if you've done it once, but like...
You can only be lucky so much.
Yeah, there's only
and then
so
you have
much.
to back it up.
Yeah. And so what he said, I had the opportunity to hear him speak in Massachusetts, and he said, look, the hardest part of being an entrepreneur was the first step. Yeah. So the hardest part is that, like, and there's an old Chinese saying
because it's scary.
It's scary,
I think, right?
Yeah. And you kind of hear, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. Yeah. Right, and so for me, I worked at large corporate jobs and had started obviously like very low, and then I worked into a place where I had a lot of responsibility, but always sort of felt like I want to do more. I want to have more of an impact. I want to be able to sort of like unleash my creativity, and first step was really the hardest, and I was only able to take it because I had worked with many entrepreneurs in the online space. Many of my best teachers were other entrepreneurs, and so that sort of gave me the sea legs to feel like, okay, I'm ready to go out on my own and start something. And then, like, what is that? And it kind of evolved into Magiclinks, so it sort of moves, and you work and like find that sort of like that burning desire that needs to be solved, and then have a team that can help solve that and help make a difference. So I don't know. I know more, strangely, I know more about what's hot and trending in like women's fashion and beauty products than I ever would have imagined.
And I think Brian's ability to take an interest in that and just be curious about all of these different facets of this whole industry that a lot of people don't take enough of an interest in is part of the reason for your success and your ability to really connect with content creators.
My sister, she learned about fashion and beauty mostly from my mom, from my grandparents, from her friends, and from like this circle of family, friends, and acquaintances
Yeah.
that only went so large,
Mhm.
right? So maybe it was 50 people that are pretty close and another 300 people that are like that kind of like second layer
Sure.
of closeness. And what YouTube does and the power of being online is it can literally be hundreds of thousands of people.
So how do you balance all of that with the ability to still do other things in your personal life? And I'm asking while looking up at your forehead because I know that Brian is also a rugged adventurer in his spare time. So I know a lot of people often ask me, you know, how do I manage to balance so many things? And you guys know my answer. It's all about organization and prioritizing. But I want to hear your take on that because I know how busy you are and how much you manage to accomplish.
Yeah. So I remember when I first left like sort of corporate life and that is my company, I need to be working like 20-hour days. Like when I wake up, I need to be working. When I go to sleep, I need to be working. Just like work. And I did that for a while. And what I found is my work quality was actually not that high. And I was getting burned out really fast. And I was like tired, I was lower energy.
It happens quickly.
Yeah, it happens really quickly. And so what I needed to do also sort of mentally is be, what do I need to do so that I'm in the most energetic frame of mind for the most hours of the day? And I think being an entrepreneur affords you a little bit more flexibility in terms of how you approach time. And so for me, I get a lot of energy around being outdoors, surfing. This is actually a river rafting injury from this weekend where I unplugged. Friday morning at 7 a.m. the phone I was out of service.
Yeah.
Is that time away from work and really like focusing on doing things that I love gives me that much more energy when I return to work so that my work product is a lot higher.
Yeah.
And it also forces me, I think in many ways, to your point, to be more organized. So when I come back to, when I've stepped away from that, when I come back, it's like I need to know what are the 10 most important things and what are the 3 that we can do today.
Yeah.
And not be like, oh, there's 700 emails in the inbox and like how do I like touch each of those emails? My journaling practice is really easy and I got it from Tim Ferriss. Got the inspiration from that. So every morning I spend just about 5 minutes, so it's like really quick, not too much time, and I do the 3 things I'm grateful for, and the 3 things that I like at the end of the day when I look back, if I've done those things today, I'll feel good. And so I do that, and then I also do a very quick like visualization. So I just like try to get really quiet and still, have some vision, and then sketch it out. And practicing like gratefulness is a really important way just to appreciate the things that are in your life, whatever they are.
Do you feel like you look back on those goals and it's just incredible how they've snowballed into your life today as an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. So one specific story I had, this is about 2 months ago, I had my like vision for that day was me sitting next to a woman. And we both had the like boom mics that you use for a podcast, and we were speaking across like at a table together.
Okay.
So I saw that Wednesday morning. Thursday afternoon, I got an email from my friend Esprit, who does a podcast, and she was like, "I want you to come be on the podcast tomorrow afternoon, and I'm looking at a space to move into a new office, and there's an extra unit that might be good for you guys. Why don't you check it out?" So that like vision literally turned into
an
new office space for Magiclinks.
That's incredible.
And an interview on the We Are LA Tech podcast, which is
I want to come visit you. That sounds like such a cool space.
And she does a Women in Tech podcast as well, where she highlights like some of the most fascinating women entrepreneurs.
That's so cool. Can you send me the link for that, and then I'll include it in the video?
Absolutely.
Because I want to listen to that.
And you should be on it. Completely.
To be determined. You guys might see something like that in the future.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We'll leave all the information for Magiclinks in the info bar down below. If you are a video creator or blogger, then make sure to connect with Brian. He's such a great guy, and there's lots of opportunities for you to create authentic social commerce through Magiclinks if that's what you're interested in. So all the info will be listed down below. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I will see you in my next installment. Bye!